Senator Schmitt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we're having folks stand up, I would have Lakin Riley stand up. I would have Kayla Hamilton stand up. I would have Jocelyn Ngari stand up. I would have Rachel Morin stand up. I would have the beautiful sons and daughters who were murdered by illegal immigrants stand up, but they can't because they're dead. They were murdered by illegal immigrants that were led into this country by Joe Biden. And I think it's important to set the stage, since we're having this oversight hearing, to set the stage how we got here. 5 years ago, something was done that had never been done in the history of our country. We had a president who willfully ignored immigration laws and immigration enforcement, threw open the border to 15 million people who are here illegally, tens of thousands of murderers, hundreds of thousands of hardened violent criminals. And we can debate why. I know why. They're trying to pump up the numbers for their congressional districts because they lost the case with the American people. But the tragedies that ensued, the tragedies that were left in the wake of this disastrous policy are what we're left with. And your job now is to finally enforce our immigration laws. And they don't like it. They actually don't think that anybody should have to leave. Because if you create the problem so big, which is what Joe Biden and the Democrats tried to do, the only solution is mass amnesty. And I'm here to tell you, we're not doing it. And the mass deportations will continue. Thank God we front-loaded the money for ICE. Thank God we did it. Because it was just a matter of time. Now, by the way, the outrage machine has moved on to something else, so I actually have hope that maybe we'll actually approve DHS funding. But we're not kneecapping ICE. We're not doing it. We're not going to take away the tools that they have to deport criminals in this country who are raping and murdering sons and daughters. So for all the spectacle that the Democrats want to create, the American people will not lose sight of what this mission is, which is to restore American sovereignty. No country, no sane country would ever do this. We lived through it. Now it's time to fix it. And the sanctuary status that many of these jurisdictions, there's about 11 that matter the most in this country. But what is that about? What does that really mean? It means that the local leaders will not tell ICE when rapists and murderers and criminals are released from prison so they can be deported. Think about that. Think about that. That's what's happening. And by the way, it's happening in Northern Virginia. The new governor just today said that this brutal killer, Abdul Jallo, an illegal immigrant from Sierra Leone with more than 30 prior arrests, who brutally stabbed to death Stephanie Minter, a mother, an American citizen, less than 50 miles from here. She will not work with ICE. If for some reason this monster gets released, she will not let ICE know when he's being released. Think about that. That's what is happening in this country. So forgive me if I don't want to be lectured by the Democrats on this point. I would think in a different time, in a different place, that we could all actually agree that if somebody is here illegally and they're being released from prison, that we would let federal law enforcement know about it. Apparently not. And so if you want to know why we had the flashpoint in Minneapolis, it's because it's a sanctuary jurisdiction that wasn't letting anybody cooperate. It wasn't responding to 911 calls for law enforcement and encouraging people to engage in this kind of confrontation. So I just want to go through a few of these. I mentioned Abdul Jallo. Let's talk about the difference between states that actually work with ICE and states or jurisdictions that don't. This is the contrast. Cecilio Lopez Vaquez was an illegal alien from Guatemala. He was arrested by the Missouri Highway Patrol for DUI. Cecilio had previously been deported in 2006 and had an active rape warrant in Guatemala. Missouri is not a sanctuary state and turned Cecilio over to ICE. He was deported. Thank God. Hernando Garcia Morales was an illegal alien from Mexico. He was arrested multiple times in New Jersey for crimes including burglary. New Jersey is a sanctuary state, failed to notify DHS or ICE. He was released. On January 9th of this year, he threw a baseball-sized rock at a school bus, shattering a window and hospitalizing a third grader. Ariel Nunez Figueroa was an illegal alien from Mexico with an arrest warrant tied to the murder of 43 students at the Ayotzinapa Teachers College. ICE arrested him in Houston, Texas, not a sanctuary city. DHS deported him on March 6th. Christian Espinozo Sarango was an illegal alien from Ecuador, arrested in New Haven, Connecticut for sexually assaulting a minor. He was charged with multiple serious offenses. Connecticut sanctuary laws prevented cooperation with ICE, and he was released into the community before being rearrested by ICE. Mayama Sese was an illegal alien from Liberia. She was a former rebel commander linked to war crimes, including recruiting and leading child soldiers. Despite a removal order entered in 2022, she was not taken into custody by ICE until April 19th of 2025. The previous administration refused to deport her. She has now since been deported. Hector Balderas Ahorne was an illegal alien from Mexico arrested in California for a felony hit and run that killed an 11-year-old boy. California, a sanctuary state, rejected DHS's detainer. Hector has a bond of $100,000 that could allow this guy back on the streets. We don't know. If he's released, they're not going to tell ICE. Luis Elias Santos was convicted of statutory rape in Boone County, Missouri. Missouri cooperated with ICE. ICE took him into custody on February 20th, 2026, and assuming he will be deported. Finally, Hugo Rene Hernandez Mendez was arrested in Prince George's County, Maryland, for DUI. The county did not cooperate with ICE and released him. Months later, he murdered Dakara Thompson, a 19-year-old woman. She would be alive today had Maryland cooperated with ICE. I don't know how you explain this away, but I just want to ask you, Madam Secretary, how critical is it for the operations of ICE to deport these monsters to be able to work with local leaders?
Oh, it's absolutely critically important. It keeps our officers safe. It allows them to do their operation in an efficient manner to make sure that the public is safe as well. And when you talk about these sanctuary jurisdictions turning murders and rapists loose on the street, I picture every time listening to Rachel Morin's mom telling the story of how she died, how she was brutally raped and murdered, and a mother of 5 children that no longer have a mother. And that individual who raped and murdered her was released 3 different times, back out to perpetuate more crimes. And that's what I don't understand, the argument that these Democrats are making. Do we have to wait until someone who's in this country illegally creates another victim before we hold them accountable and get them out of our country? Why do we have to wait until there's more murder victims?
We need it in sanctuary cities. I want to ask you real quickly, we talked about illegal immigration, the time I have left. Legal immigration and the abuses we've seen. I've written to you about H-1B and OPT, and for those listening, the H-1B program was marketed as a program to bring in the best and the brightest for people for jobs that we don't have people for. That's been patently false. What's happening is this abuse is that American citizens are being displaced by cheaper, more obedient foreign labor. The abuse has been pretty rampant. I've written to you about that. And the OPT program, which has become visa mills for universities, taking away opportunities for American students because they don't have to pay taxes on the foreign labor for at least a year if you have this visa for OPT. Anyway, there's been rampant abuse. We've seen. I've written to you about this. I appreciate your response. I want to just with the remaining time, you committed in that letter to reevaluate OPT's scope and duration. I just want to ask you, what's the timeline for that review? Will you commit to completing that reevaluation this year?
Yes, we are. We're continuing to do that review now, and it will be completed here in 2026.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you.